Welcome back to Market Makers. I'm Stephanie Rule. Jack Lew warned he would do it, and guess what? He has. Last night, the Treasury Department announced new rules to make corporate tax inversion deals less attractive to companies. These are the mergers where a U.S. company buys a smaller foreign firm located in a country with a low corporate tax income rate. There are 8 of them pending, and all may now be rethinking their deals. Bill George is the former CEO of Medtronic, one of the companies with an inversion deal still pending. Now he's a management Try it again, Stephanie. Now he is a management professor at Harvard Business School, and he's with us this morning from Minneapolis. Bill, what do you think of this news?
Well, I saw it coming. Obama made it very clear that he was going to do something like this, and Lew has carried through on it now. And I think it will have some impact. I think a lot is in the details, and no one has seen that. There's a 44-page statement I haven't seen, and I haven't talked to anyone at Medtronic, but I do think it'll have some impact. But the Medtronic deal in particular was done for strategic reasons. It makes very good sense financially, and Medtronic will have to think through how it can best finance this based on the new rules. But, Steph, there are lots of problems with this. First of all, we haven't, this is like going to the doctor and finding you have skin cancer, and so the doctor puts a nice patch and some ointment on top of your hand and puts a big Band-Aid on it. Meanwhile, the cancer is growing underneath it. We've got a big problem in our taxes, a huge problem. There's still $2 trillion U.S. cash trapped overseas. The idea that people are going to pay this is not going to happen. I can tell you, I've talked to a lot of the big companies. Apple, $160 billion trapped overseas. They're not going to do an inversion, but nor are they going to bring that cash back. And so it creates a real problem. We haven't fixed the tax code. Both Democrat Ron Wyden and Republican Orrin Hatch want to fix it. We need to get to a territorial tax, and that's going to put us in competition more competitively with other countries in the world. But second, we are just prolonging the problem, and we create a great uncertainty because this is a retroactive situation. It applies to deals already announced, and that's what they're trying to pick up. But that creates great uncertainty. Business people do not like uncertainty rules. They'll play by the rules, but you have to tell them what those rules are. And third, and most significant, it makes American companies worth more to foreign buyers than does the U.S. You've seen a whole spate in the last week of German companies buying U.S. companies. Siemens is buying Dresser-Rand, and you have Merck buying Sigma-Aldrich, and you have another you have 3 deals going for a total of $33 billion. German companies buying U.S. They're worth more than they are to U.S. And so this kind of forces U.S. companies to buy outside the U.S. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. It's just a stopgap measure, and it's not coincidence it's done 6 weeks before the election.
Bill, here's a question for you. Jack Lew himself, the Treasury Secretary, has said that wading into this legal area is complicated. His words, this is complicated law. And while the Treasury hasn't actually passed the rules yet, it's just served notice that it plans to, it does give some options to a company like Medtronic, for example, or any other company trapped in limbo here. They could sue the Treasury Department, saying that it is exceeding its authority or that the way that it is attempting to impose these regulations is at odds with the law over how regulatory agencies must act. Would you favor that option? If it were up to you, would you advise Medtronic to sue the Treasury Department to stop this from happening?
Eric, I think it all depends on what are the rules. How do they come out, and how egregious are they? Tax has normally been the province of Congress. That's what the law says, and we're using administrative rules to get around Congress's authority here. But I think I'd have to see the rules before I could give sound advice. And I don't know how much it's actually going to affect Medtronic. There are lots of ways to finance deals today. You know, the tax rate you can do borrowing at less than 1% after tax. So I think I'd have to take a wait and see. I wouldn't advise them now until I could get all the rules. But I think companies will look at that option, and I think there will be lawsuits. I don't know if they come from Medtronic, but I think there will be lawsuits to test these rules and see how they come out. But this just creates more uncertainty, and maybe that's what the administration wants, and maybe that they want that right up through the elections in November. I'm not sure, but it's not a good thing. And, Eric, if you look at it, almost all the actions relative to the business community of this government are punitive. They're going after the they're going after the financial service companies. They're preventing the energy companies from expanding or shipping natural gas overseas, one after another, not giving out more H-1B visas. So everything is punitive rather than trying to grow our great companies. I'm in favor of growing great global companies, and that's what Medtronic's trying to do here. They're actually going to invest more in the U.S. as a result of being able to do this deal with Covidien.
But Bill, to be fair, the fact that we don't have comprehensive tax reform is not solely the administration's fault. It's just as much as the fault of the Democratic and Republican parties in Congress, neither of whom can seem to get along with the other and have agreed, it would seem, to do nothing of substance, not that they can any longer because Congress is in recess between now and the election. So, you know, if you're the president, you've chosen to define this inversion issue or this tax issue in political terms, what option are you left with?
Well, I think he could go to Congress and really work hard to solve the problem. I do think it is a problem of Congress, and we have balance of powers, Eric, and that's why we do. But I think you've got to go in and negotiate. You've got to cut a deal. You can't just have an all-Democratic deal. You've got to cut a deal with the Republicans, and that's something this president has found unpleasant to do. And I agree, the Republicans have not been very collaborative or cooperative either. But you have senior people in the Senate that I think you could put something together. We've got to address the underlying problems because we're putting U.S. companies at a great disadvantage by our tax system. These German companies are going to get a 10-point tax savings right off the top, and they can actually buy American companies with their own cash. So this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. We've just got to figure out how to solve the underlying root cause problems, which are well known.
All right, Bill, easier said than done. Thanks for joining us this morning. Bill George, Harvard Business School professor.
We'll be back.